Welcome back to SP.Channel. The ability to traverse time has been a fascination of man ever since man first began to grasp the concepts of time itself. Is time travel possible? Physicists and mathematicians around the world are sharply divided on this subject. Firstly, to some philosophical degree, time travel is possible. Right now, we are moving forward in time. From the time you were born till this very moment, you've been moving forward in time. So in a natural, linear sense, time travel is not only possible, it's inescapable. As Delmore Schwartz stated in his poem, "Calmly we walk through this April's day, time is a fire in which we burn." So let's get right into the mechanics of this and see what the most brilliant minds on earth have to say about time travel. Time travel is the concept of movement between certain points in time, analogous to movement between different points in space, typically using a hypothetical device known as a time machine, in the form of a vehicle or of a portal connecting distant points in time. Time travel is a recognized concept in philosophy and fiction, but traveling to an arbitrary point in time has very limited support in theoretical physics, and is usually only supported with theories such as quantum mechanics and Einstein's Rosen bridges. In a more narrow sense, one way to time travel to the future via time dilation is a proven phenomenon in relativistic physics, but traveling any significant distance requires motion at speeds close to that of the speed of light, which isn't feasible for human travel with current technology. The great 20th century scientist Albert Einstein developed a theory called special relativity. The ideas of special relativity are very hard to imagine because they aren't about what we experience in everyday life, but scientists have confirmed them. The theory says that space and time are really aspects of the same thing, space-time. There is a speed limit to the universe, 300,000 kilometers per second, or 186,000 miles per second. For anything that travels through space-time, light will always travel the light speed limit through empty space. Special relativity also states that a surprising thing happens when you move through space-time, especially when your speed is relative to other objects that are close to the speed of light. Time goes slower for you than for the people you left behind. You won't notice this effect until you return to those stationary people. Say you were a 15-year-old when you left Earth in a spacecraft traveling about 99.5% the speed of light, which is much faster than we can achieve now, and celebrated only 5 birthdays during your space voyage. When you get home at the age of 20, you'd find that all of your classmates were now 65 years old, retired, and enjoying their grandchildren. Because time passed more slowly for you, you will have experienced only 5 years of your life, while your classmates will have experienced a full 50 years. This is a scientifically proven example of how time is relative within the universe and not a constant. Science has shown us how time is relative and not a constant throughout the universe, but this presents us with a new problem. Slowing time down for an individual or object is supported by many physicists around the world, but reversing time, or traveling backwards in time, would require speeds much greater than the cosmic speed limit would allow. However, in Einstein's later years, he was faced with a solution to this problem. Einstein's neighbor at Princeton, Kurt Gödel, perhaps the greatest mathematical logician in the past 500 years, found a new solution to Einstein's equations which allowed for backwards time travel. Gödel's river of time theory proposed that space-time was fluidic and possessed whirlpool-like properties in which time could wrap itself into a circle. Gödel's solution was quite ingenious. With space-time as a rotating fluid, anyone walking along the direction of rotation would find themselves back at the point they started their journey in time itself. In 1963, Roy Kerr, a New Zealand mathematician, found a solution to Einstein's equations for a rotating black hole, which had bizarre properties. The black hole would not collapse to a point as previously thought, but into a spinning ring of neutrons. The ring would be circulating so rapidly that centrifugal force would keep the ring from collapsing under its own gravity. The ring, in turn, acts like a looking glass of Alice. Anyone walking through the ring would not die, but could pass through the ring into an alternate universe. So, backwards time travel, at least theoretically, is possible. But how can we discuss time travel without covering some of the paradoxes one can encounter when undertaking such actions? A temporal paradox is a paradox or an apparent contradiction or logical contradiction that is associated with the idea of time and time travel. Temporal paradoxes fall into 2 broad groups: consistency paradoxes, exemplified with the grandfather paradox, and causality loops. The predestination paradox. The predestination paradox occurs when the actions of a person traveling back in time ultimately causes the event he is trying to prevent to occur. He then becomes trapped inside a temporal causality loop in which event 1 in the past influences event 2, which then causes event 1 to occur, with this circular loop of events thus ensuring that history is not altered by the time traveler's journey into the past. The bootstrap paradox. A bootstrap paradox is a type of paradox in which an object, person, or piece of information sent back in time results in an infinite loop where the object has no discernible origin and exists without ever having been created. It's also known as an ontological paradox, as ontology is a branch of philosophy concerned with the nature of being. The grandfather paradox. This time paradox gives rise to self-inconsistent solution, because if you traveled to the past and killed your grandfather, you would have never been born and would not been able to travel to the past to begin with. And those are just a few of the many paradoxes one could encounter if they were to travel backwards in time. I want to thank you for joining us here on SP.Channel. Remember guys, we do this for you because you are what's important. To be able to entertain you, to bring laughter to you, it both amazes and humbles us. We couldn't do this without you guys. Thank you so much. Until next time, this has been SP.Channel from somewhere in time.